Hi, Paula, Subu, welcome. Thank you for talking about your project with us, and congratulations to you and your team for being finalists
Thank
in
you
the
very
CEO
much.
Awards.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, look, I start every one of these with the same question. Tell me about your project.
So we talked about future-proofing our portfolio. That's exactly what we're doing with the Spiral program. So the aerospace industry has been challenged with regulations, whether it's from legislation or HSE. And over the last several years, we've really had to adapt and reformulate a number of products in that portfolio. So we've done it to meet these regulatory challenges, but what we wanted to do was go beyond that and actually create a portfolio that would position us for future growth as well as just fixing the current problem that we've got today. So that's it in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah. And add to that, we also have raw material obsolescence because of a supplier walking away and closing the door. So we have multiple challenges, not only on the regulation side, also from the raw material obsolescence. And then we took this as a program Spiral to address all the needs for the customers.
And if I can, what's driving if we can just unpack that just a little bit, I'll break that into two pieces. What's driving what is the big regulatory driver? And also, what is driving that material obsolescence?
Okay. So for the material obsolescence, especially during the COVID period, most of the companies who supply materials for us, they walked away from the business because they cannot afford. And if you look at our products, we have probably 10 to 20 ingredients in our formulations. So many of the ingredients are very small, and we don't buy huge amounts from these suppliers. So they said, like, we cannot afford to sell you this 1 drum or 2 drums a year. So we either take 20,000 pounds or walk away. So that puts us a pressure, like, cannot go for 20,000 pounds when we use only one or two metric tons a year. So finally, we have to find a way to offset that and then replace those raw materials. That's on the raw material obsolescence. From the regulatory standpoint, probably Paula, you can answer that because we have so much of regulations coming in.
Yeah, I mean, from a regulatory perspective, we're looking at it from a global perspective as well as a regional basis. I mean, I think REACH has been around in Europe for at least 20 years now, and that was implemented to remove chemistry that was deemed hazardous to the environment. So there's been an ongoing decade-long program to look at reformulating products and replacing it with chemistry that's less harmful. But then you also have to look at it from the HS&E side of things as well, where chemistry has been looked at from substances that are hazardous to health, hazardous to people's surroundings, and how can we replace components within those chemistries that minimise that impact to the environment or to people. So there's regulations like REACH. China has the MEE. There's the Stockholm Convention. And then if you look at it on a regional level, I mean, it even goes down to a state-by-state difference, which makes it very complex, very time-consuming, and incredibly resource-draining for us to be able to manage as well. So we're dealing with it on a global basis, regional basis, and from a chemistry perspective, toxicologically, as well as how can we improve it from an emissions perspective as well.
Yeah. So I guess a follow-up question would be, so as you mentioned, Paula, REACH has been around for probably 20, if not more years. Subu, you mentioned COVID, which some days I feel like it was just yesterday, but then you look at the calendar and go, oh, wow, that was 5 years ago.
Yes.
So what was the pressing challenge? What made Project Spiral come together when it came together, even though we're 20 years out from REACH and we're 5 years out from COVID? What provided that energy for putting the project together now?
Yeah. So originally, when we had this kind of a raw material obsolescence, we do case by case. We pick up a product, we say, hey, this is discontinued. So what do? We address individually. My lab will develop an alternate, and then manufacturing will go and implement, and marketing and commercial team will be informing the customers. It was all segmented differently. So when this happened as a rapid pace in the past 5 years, we decided, like, this is not the way we'll be operating. We have to have a complete coordinated team. And that's where Paula and us, we jointly developed what we call as a program spiral. And Paolo can answer like how she implemented that whole team and then managed with one program manager.
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit first. So you asked what's been driving it. So with Reach being around for the last 20 years, you're right. It's been there for a while. However, in the last 5+ years, a lot of these sunset dates that come around from the regulations are actually coming into play. So what that means is our customers are now having to look at their product portfolio and say, okay, in terms of prioritization, which products are going to stop us from being able to manufacture, which products are going to be, put us at financial risk. And we've had to now either speed up the product reformulation or reprioritize the product formulation that we've been working on to ensure that we meet the sunset dates for these chemistries and prevent them from actually having to shut down production and lose business, and then ultimately us losing business as well. So that's really what's kind of stepped up the momentum in the last several years.
Yeah.
And this sounds like this is a new way. You're saying instead of going case by case, let's do this across multiple products. Let's do this as a portfolio. What challenges did you face, either technology or culture or teams, going from one product at a time to a portfolio? What were those challenges, and then how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, first of all, we have a limited amount of raw materials available. As the sunset dates approaches, we know that this is going to be the deadline. So we need to manage and notify the customers and prioritize how much raw material we have to complete this program or the project, that particular individual project. So we have to look at securing enough raw materials and manage the whole thing with the project management skill set and prioritize, look at our lab resources, look at the complexity of the formulation and develop alternates. So this is the major challenge for us in the past few years. And when we look at the past couple of years, we have managed to introduce 10 new products with all the reformulated efforts due to regulation or due to raw material obsolescence. Successfully developed that one, and then we introduced into the marketplace. So the challenge here is, if we have not got this program management or project management skill set, working closely with the customers, set up their priorities too, we wouldn't have achieved this.
And to bring products to market successfully, imagine is quite an effort. It involves a lot of different teams, different departments, and very complex. Can you unpack that a little bit for us? Who is all involved? How complex was doing all this, and how did you manage all that complexity?
If you think about it right through from the beginning, so we have a team in PRSC from a regulatory perspective that are actually looking at...
This is the product safety
team,
group,
exactly, yeah. So they're looking at the long-term horizon for us to say what's coming down the pipeline in terms of regulatory changes that you need to be aware of. They then feed that information into Subbu and his team. And that team are looking at, okay, this is the products that are currently on the portfolio that the regulations are going to impact. Which ones do we need to reformulate? Which ones do we need to change? They then spend a period of time reformulating the chemistry, not only to meet the regulations, but they're also looking to say, okay, well, while we go through this formulation, can we actually improve the performance? So when we put a new product into the marketplace, it beats what we had previously.
So it meets the regulatory change without compromising the performance
Absolutely.
of the product for the customer.
Yeah. And in some cases, it outperforms what we had previously on the portfolio.
Yeah. So it's safer and better.
Safer and better, yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully, as well, it's actually more profitable. So in some cases, we've been able to simplify the formulation. So Subbu mentioned these products that we've got with 10 different components. If we can reduce the number of components in the product, it means from a supply chain perspective, for us, it's simpler. From a cost perspective, it's lower, which then we can either bring back into Huntsman or we can pass those savings on to the customer. Okay. So once Subbu's team are finished, they then hand that across to process development and manufacturing, who take it to the plant. They're looking to scale that up as quickly and efficiently as possible and safely at plant level. We then have marketing and sales who are taking that chemistry and they're looking at ways that they can promote it, not only with our current customer base, but also with additional customers as well, additional applications in the market. So all in all, it kind of rolls up into the overall program. What we recognized last year is that we needed a role in there that would sit over the top so that all the different functions weren't working in isolation. So we've brought in a program manager specifically for Spiral to keep everything on track and keep it running.
Right. Well, sounds very exciting. It's great to see that you're meeting a regulatory challenge and a supply chain challenge, and the result being products for our customers that are not only safer, but are actually better and safer. Probably, not only the customers, but I would assume
for the
plant and the people in the labs,
right.
and but without sacrificing performance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, great.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much
you.
for sharing your project with us.
Perfect.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.